All right, Brett, could you tell us a little bit about how Bud Light has fixed some of its mistakes?
Fix some of its mistakes. That's interesting. Well, let's go back in history. So, as we all know, Bud Light had a massive failure last year. It started with Dylan, but the truth is, it wasn't really Dylan. She was maybe a pinpoint of the brand's challenges with having a real micro moment with a consumer group that became exponential overnight. But what made it exponential wasn't so much that Dylan was representing a segment of the society and sponsored the brand. It was the brand manager that made that decision, going on and explaining to the world she was interested in new drinkers, not the drinkers that currently drink Bud. And those people got upset because they were told they weren't wanted. And then that was followed up by a terrible PR campaign by the CEO. And every time he spoke, the brand declined more. And we had watched it in real time with our tracking. But since then, Bud Light has done what Bud Light does. It is America's beer. It's America's choice. And it's gone back to its basics in the liquid and in the entertainment factor that it brings to the table. So, the Super Bowl, they were smart. They brought in Miles Teller, who I loved in Top Gun 2, by the way. But, they brought him in. Pretty safe ad, but entertaining, kind of fun. And then they did a lot of liquid ads during the Super Bowl. Very smart because, the liquid's good. People prefer it in many cases. And so they focused on it. They've also done a really good job of sponsorship. They've gotten into a comedian named Shane Gillis, which has its audience and seems to have a very positive appeal for the brand. But what's really interesting is when I look at the factors of spend versus attraction, this is a category that can be manipulated by how much you spend, but it can also be manipulated by how you behave in the market in a positive or negative way, as we've seen. Bud Light seems to be a brand that's at the top tier of attracting an audience with lower budget, which is unusual for that brand because usually that brand wins and supersedes by budget. But this time around, I'm looking at the factors, and it really is interesting that it's not as dependent on the ad spend. It's actually being smart. It's being strategic. It's making the right investments against the right sponsorships. Another sponsorship that comes to mind is UFC. They're making really sound decisions about how to move that brand forward. It's coming back. It's in our top ranking again after almost 12 months of being in the lowest rank. And I'm sure that the stock market's going to notice this and start to pick it back up.